everybody. Let me get this thing going here. I had a light. I'm meteorologist Samantha Moore, one of your 11 Alive storm trackers. My light is not working, but I'm going to turn on the lights that we use for TV. Stand by. Well, it's not working, so we won't use it. We will just use this. That will work. And I'll just set this a little bit more like that. Good morning, everybody. Almost lunchtime, huh? Hi from Covington. Hi, Suzanne White. Nice for you to drop by today for Storm Tracker School. Seeing if I can get this framed up properly. I'm meteorologist Samantha Moore, one of your 11 Alive storm trackers. Hopefully we'll be able to see this, and there's not too much of a shadow on the monitor here because I'll have some pictures to show you. But in the meantime, I need to get close so I can see you. Larry St. Clair, the display is backwards. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. So let me see here. I'll go to Tools, and I'll flip it around. Thank you, Larry, for letting me know. That was really helpful information. Let's see, who is joining us today? I hope we have a lot of folks here joining us because we just went through a horrific severe weather event. And I just want to talk a little bit about those incredible survey teams and how they tell what kind of storm we had, whether we had, and it depends on where you are across North Georgia, whether it ended up being a tornado or a microburst. So that is today's lesson. And these survey teams are amazing. They usually are deployed very shortly after the storm hits. And they went out early Monday morning after those Easter storms. Like as soon as they were over, they were out there on the scene looking at the different patterns that the storm damage, in the debris of those systems. And of course, we've had several tornadoes, and they're still looking at all the data to figure out exactly how strong they were. I'm hoping we get this shared on the 11 Alive page. So let's see. I want to make sure everybody's on with us. I hope everyone's faring well after the storms. Hello. Thank you for joining us for Storm Tracker School. I'm going to make sure that we are on the 11 Alive page and not just my page. Share Weather School to page. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Well, I am meteorologist Samantha Moore, and I'm one of your 11 Alive storm trackers, and we were manning the desk the other night as that line of tornado-producing thunderstorms moved through, and unfortunately it was on Easter, which was the worst time to have, with the coronavirus and everyone already hunkering down, to even have to consider maybe your house wasn't safe enough and you had to go to a safer location was really just mind-blowing for a lot of people, and a lot of folks just didn't have a place to go. So unfortunately, oh, here we go, Kristen. Kristen Reed is our digital guru here. And she said, what time? And I'm saying, now. Hi, Kristen. Are you there, Kristen? Kristen, are you there? So let's see who is here today as we get a little bit closer. Make sure we are good. Oh, yeah. Well, we have a few people out there. I just don't want to get started too prematurely. But I hope everyone is doing well. I know now it's beautiful after the storms rolled through on Sunday night. So thankfully, we are seeing improving weather for a few days for all the cleanup that has to go on in our many counties. And let's go ahead and start talking about the difference between tornadoes and microbursts and how the survey teams that are deployed from the National Weather Service Office, and of course our National Weather Service Office is in Peachtree City, and they were deployed immediately after those storms hit to find out how much damage there was. And this is used for insurance reasons, for funding from the state emergency funds to help clean up and rescue, clean up, and then start to build back again. So this information is very important, and it also serves us for future storms as far as how we can forecast them a bit better as well. So welcome to Storm Tracker School. I hope you all are doing well today, and we're going to be talking about the difference in the debris pattern of a tornado and a microburst. So let's talk first about a microburst, because you can get just as much damage from a microburst as you can from a tornado. So it's just because it's a slight bit of damage, that wouldn't mean it's a microburst. It's the pattern that is left behind. So a microburst is usually comes down, and if you were looking from a drone or from a plane, it would look like a starburst pattern, but the damage is going in one direction. So you would see large uprooted trees flattened in a similar direction. So as you would look out, you'd see like 1, 2 large trees uprooted, all pointing in the same general direction. If you were to look from up above, they could kind of radiate out. But the difference between a microburst and a tornado debris pattern is a tornado, they're going to be in different angles to each other. So you would see large, old, uprooted trees, but they would be in a convergent pattern. So you would see them kind of crisscross like this, where you would see the tops of the trees maybe laying over each other. So there was definitely rotation, a swirling wind pattern that knocked these trees in a spiral pattern. So that's the difference. As these survey teams go out, they are looking for the actual debris pattern, not necessarily the amount of damage, but the pattern that was caused. And then of course, once they figure out whether it was a microburst or a tornado, then they start measuring the amount of damage and calculating the amount of damage, how wide the track was, how wide the path was, how long it stayed on the ground, and how much damage it ended up doing over that area of real estate, like we saw on our Sunday night. So here's some of the damage from this past storm that moved through on Sunday night. Robert Slattery, one of our 11 Alive storm trackers, showing this picture. Now this is from the Rock, Georgia, in northwest Georgia, and you can see we have uprooted trees here. Some of them are snapped off here, and a microburst can cause trees to snap as well. But in this case, it looks like the trees are not all down in one direction, that they are looking like they're more radially distributed, so kind of crossing over each other. So that would most likely make the survey team think that there was some rotation involved here. So damage from these tornadoes and microbursts can be very similar in nature. This is Sandy Scott Krause in Toccoa showing the damage on top of 2 of her vehicles, on top of her car, on top of her truck, as these storms blew through on Sunday night. So we're still going to be getting in a lot of information that the survey teams are trying to assemble. It's very detailed in nature. And the reason I wanted to talk about severe weather still is we are in the heart of severe weather season, in the peak of tornado season. If you take a look at our Georgia tornadoes by month, we typically see the most during that transition from springtime to summer. So it's the month of April that on average would see 408 tornadoes in the month of April. This is statistically the peak of tornado season. Once we get into May, it'll drop about in half statistically. That doesn't mean we can't have a big outbreak in May. And then during the summer months, the amounts go way, way down as we see the atmosphere becomes a little bit more stable in general. We still get summertime bubble up thunderstorms, but they typically are not the supercell variety that would spawn tornadoes. So we typically go down in terms of our tornado risk in the summertime. However, then we're talking hurricanes, and hurricanes can cause tornadoes when they come on shore with the friction as they move on land. We should talk about that sometime because that is a really interesting phenomenon, how that happens. But since we are in the statistical peak of tornado season, we thought we would talk about how these survey teams go out and they're immediately deployed. These are meteorologists from the National Weather Service. Many of them are radar operators down there who are working during the storm, and then they're deployed out to look at the damage that was caused by this storm, and they do such a tremendous job there, and we use that radar imagery to keep you informed when these storms develop. So we really appreciate the hard-working meteorologists at our National Weather Service office that do such a great job. So since we're in the statistical peak of tornado season, severe weather season, we're going to likely see more severe storms and tornadoes in the weeks and months to come, obviously. So it's always good to be prepared. That Upson County tornado, by the way, this is how it looked on radar, and this is the velocity. And velocity tells us which way the raindrops are moving, which ones are moving toward the radar and away from the radar. So the difference in that, the gate-to-gate shear, the difference in the movement toward and away from the radar is how we determine the amount of rotation, the amount of spin that is occurring within that thunderstorm. So this is when these storms were happening, and this is the rock where we just saw that picture that our storm tracker posted at the rock. You can see that rotation was just to the south of the rock. So a lot of damage down in that area in Upson County, and a very impressive velocity signature at the time that the tornado was wreaking havoc in Upson County. Here's the Putnam County tornado, and we have a bunch more we'll be talking about as well on air, but this one was a weaker tornado as far as the speed, EF1, with 105 mile per hour winds, but still, you can move a mobile home with 60 mile per hour winds. 60 mile per hour winds can move a mobile home, and in tornadoes you can have winds up to 300 miles an hour, so you don't stand a chance in a mobile home with a strong tornado. And with the Upson County tornado, 140 mile per hour max winds in that storm. So of course you need a strong structure when you're in severe weather, and there's just no two ways about it. So if you do live in a less well-built home, a mobile home, or in a home that's just not very sturdy, it's just wise to have a place to go, either a neighbor's house or a public storm shelter. And I know it's difficult during this COVID-19 outbreak because we're still, hunkering down, and we're trying to be isolated and practice social distancing. But when this threat is imminent, when a tornadic threat is imminent, then you have to choose to seek safety right then. So it's good to have a friend you can call on that has a well-built home, maybe with an interior hallway, with a stairwell. That's a good place to be under the stairs. That's typically one of the strongest parts of a dwelling. Also a closet, away from the outside walls. As many walls as you can get between you and the outside world, the safer you're going to be. It's also smart to have some blankets stowed in your safe place, helmets, shoes in case it's at night and you've run in there, and now after the debris is all around you, you have to walk through nails and glass, and so you need shoes. It's wise to have a helmet, especially on the little ones. Put their bicycle helmets on them, any of the other sporting football helmets, anything to protect their brain, their brain bucket. Paul Goodlow at the Weather Channel always used to call it the brain bucket. So, and of course the safest place is going to be in your basement. And no two ways about it. You want to be away from any windows, and you want to be as low as you can get, because then the tornado kind of can go over you instead of into you. So you want to get in, get down, and get covered. That's what the National Weather Service always says. Get inside, get down as low as you can, preferably a basement, and you want to get covered. Cover yourself with something that'll insulate you from any flying debris. So just kind of to sum things up again for our weather school today, and we appreciate everybody joining us. I haven't really seen any questions, and I don't know, this is spinning, so I feel like it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. I'm going to check and see. I guess we're live. Yeah, okay. We are live and good to go. So I just want to go back over the difference between the debris pattern of a microburst and a tornado, because you can see widespread damage from a microburst. It can take out a mobile home. It can send trees crashing to the ground, old, huge trees. But typically with a microburst, you're going to see the trees laying kind of parallel to each other, and that would be the direction that the wind came down. And a microburst is basically rain-cooled air that comes out of the bottom of a thunderstorm, comes crashing down to the ground. It can be dry or it can be wet. It can be full of water, like a big bucket of water with strong cooled winds that come slamming down and knocks these trees down just like this. So it can do a lot of damage. What always gets our attention, though, are tornadoes, of course, because of just how terrifying they can be. But even a microburst, you can hear the roar of a train. It can sound as loud as a train when you get a microburst. So that's why we need the survey teams from the National Weather Service to go out afterwards and determine exactly what happened when we have severe storms. So in a tornado, you would see these trees down in a convergent pattern. So in other words, laying over each other like this. So instead of being like this, they would be like this, and that indicates rotation and swirling winds. And it's that convergent pattern that helps the National Weather Service determine just if there was rotation within the storm, if it was tornadic. And then once they determine that, then they go to work to find out just how strong those winds are by looking at the different damage, and also how long the track was, how long the path was, how long it stayed on the ground, and how wide it was. So it could be as wide as a football field, 2 football fields in length. It could take up a large amount of land, cover a large amount of land, and then how long it stayed on the ground. Because of course, the longer it stays on the ground, the more opportunity it has to do damage. But again, they look at the pattern of the debris, especially trees, when it comes to determine whether it was a straight line wind, microburst, or tornado. So I hope that was kind of helpful for you today. That is your latest edition of Storm Tracker School. We will have more tonight on those tornadoes. Any more information that we get in from the National Weather Service, we will have it for you this evening on 11 Alive. In the meantime, let's stay weather ready during the severe weather season. I think kids, if you can go ahead and get that safe place ready and get it stocked with maybe some snacks and some water, and also phone chargers, always a great idea, because we were live all night on Sunday night as those storms moved through, and you don't want to lose power because you want to be able to hear what the meteorologists have to say so you can seek shelter. If there's a warning in your neighborhood, just like there was in Upson County, just like there was in Murray County on Sunday night, and many other areas across North Georgia. So thank you for joining us for Storm Tracker School. I sure do appreciate it very much today. And Wes Peary will be here tomorrow for his version of Storm Tracker School, and it should be right around 11 o'clock in the morning on Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be back next week as well. So I hope y'all are learning. I hope you're able to get your studies done at home, and I hope you're making good grades too. So thank you for joining us, everybody, and we shall see you soon. Have a good day. You're welcome, Kimberly, I'm happy to do this. I'm glad that you're able to join us. For some reason, I didn't see everyone's comments today. I think I had something cover it up, so I'm so sorry I wasn't able to take your questions. But I'm looking at Daria was asking a question, Byron, Jed, Kimberly, and I'm sorry I did not really answer your questions very well there, but now that I'm covering up everything, we'll be back tomorrow for the latest edition of Storm Tracker School. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Sure do appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.